Hi, that's Brooke. I'm Randy. It is the Randy Karraker Show featuring Brooke Grimsley. Great to have you with us on Friday Eve. Cam Jansen coming up at the bottom of the hour, and Sports Hub STL is presented by DraftKings, where the crown is yours.
There we go.
The Blues are on the brink tomorrow night, Brooke. Are you aware of this?
I am.
Oh,
so how many people stayed up and watched the game last night? I did all the way till the end because I was still holding out hope at the end for the Blues there, but still the Jets were able to win. They play really well at home. Will anybody win a road game at this point? And I hope it's not the Jets on Friday.
Yeah, I kind of wonder if that'll be the case because neither of these teams are able to really get to their game to set the tempo. It doesn't seem like when they're on the road. And I know there's a lot that goes into playing on the road, but Brooke, I go back to Army saying late in the season when I tried to make the comparison between this team and 2019. He talked about how that team was built to win a Stanley Cup. He said, this team, we didn't expect to win a Stanley Cup. And then Monty talking about how valuable this experience will be in the playoffs. I guess there is an awful lot that you learn about the playoffs as a young player that a lot of Blues just haven't learned yet. And last night was a perfect example. I mean, they didn't spend much time in the paint. Everything we talked about yesterday that they had to do, they didn't. And it's no surprise. And they were really it felt like they were in the game until Nemestikov scored late in the second, but they really weren't.
Well, I mean, the energy fell off from the beginning. It wasn't the same energy that we saw at home. Of course, you have your home crowd behind you, and the fans here in St. Louis did a great job of creating that atmosphere to really pump up the Blues players. But it felt like that energy, that momentum that we saw for 2 straight games didn't carry over on the road to Winnipeg. I mean, they had, 10 shots on goal through 2 periods. It felt like the energy was just not there, and they couldn't get to what you were saying, their game whatsoever.
Yeah, Snuggy scores at the 6:06 mark of the second period. That was the Blues' first shot of the period. Then they got shots from Toropchenko at 13:54 and Falk at 14:09. Those were their only 3 shots of the period, and they really didn't have any great chances to take advantage of. There was the one great save by Hellebuck, but that was in the first. They really didn't take advantage of many great opportunities.
I even think about, you mentioned Jimmy Snuggerud. We were talking about him all week about how impressive he's been. Huge for him to get that goal, but I don't know if you saw that pass too that he had to set up to Parayko, and Parayko kind of took a minute and then he fired it. He gave Hellebuck too much time to really reset himself perfectly for that. I was like, fire it. Right, shoot the puck, like everybody likes to do at the TV.
It was interesting, by the way, that Jim Montgomery said, hey, it was their best game and our worst game. And there's no doubt about that the Blues just didn't have the level of energy that, as the coaches like to say, the compete level to win a game like that. And you've got to take your compete level to a different level. Like, again, Monty said before Game 5, he said, hey, we need to bring our own juice. And it doesn't feel like, to me, the Blues brought their own juice.
No, and I'm curious, too, because I'm sure a lot of people are thinking about this today. Some of the calls that happened during the course of the game. I think about that Oscar Sundqvist one where he literally was bleeding because he took an elbow to the face, and somehow they called a penalty and an embellishment on that.
How does that happen?
I don't know how that happens. I looked at it, and I was listening to, I'm sure everybody was too, the ESPN broadcast. They were like, yeah, the way that he fell was just really unnatural. I'm like, well, how do you fall when you're skating full speed and then you get an elbow right to the face and then you're bleeding? Like, I didn't think it was embellishment whatsoever, but there was like little quirky things like that happened during the game that I also think took the Blues away from their own game.
Yeah, and one of the things that should have taken the Jets out of their game was losing Mark Scheifele. And Jim Montgomery said it wasn't the Braden Shen hit that knocked him out. It was the Foxa hit. He said he played 6 minutes after Shen hit him. Yeah. And then Foxa hit him and he didn't return. And Scott Arniel, who is, he plays a great villain in this playoff series. He was kind of upset with the way the calls went and the way that Monty responded. Here's Scott Arniel. And then the response from Chris Pronger, Blues Hall of Famer, on the Twitter machine.
Scott, you had a long discussion with the referee before the second. What were your thoughts on the Shen hit?
Well, I didn't know Monty got his medical degree. I'm trying to say how our player got hurt. He's way off base. Should not make that comment. There's some things that have been going on in this series, and that was a repeat of what we've seen before. A player leaving his feet and then hitting a player in a very unprotected spot, like hitting them in the sense almost blindsiding them. Not happy how the call was made. 2-minute minor. Not even looking at it is what I was upset about. And it is something that we have talked to the league about for 5 games.
Well, first of all,
for 5 games.
5 games.
What?
Yeah. Why should the Jets get any special treatment from the National Hockey League? Why should they go to the league for essentially the whole series? I guess he's talked to them every day during the series and said, "Wow, we aren't getting the calls that we want."
The amount of whining from the Jets. What exactly is going on here? Because I don't know. I was listening. We've talked about this. Some of the broadcasts and some of the coverage of this, it's really clear that people want the Winnipeg Jets to win. I get it. They're the President Trophy winners, but my gosh, they're acting like the Blues are the only ones who are doing hits. In my opinion, that was a clean hit by Braden Shen, by the way. That's old school hockey. That was a clean hit. And to sit there and whine, he played right after that. Shifley did.
Yeah, he did.
He played afterwards. And that's something that Jim Montgomery said too. To make this about 5 games, are you serious?
Well,
like, your team's also doing hits. Did we forget about that Stanley hit on Kyrou? I mean, it's happening during the course of this game.
And Chris Pronger made this point on Twitter. He said, "This is how you work the referees in the league after your player was caught twice unaware of an oncoming player about to finish their check. Both hits were clean and heavy. 55 needs to be more aware. Neither hit was a deliberate attempt to injure, in my opinion." That's Chris Pronger. I have infinitely more respect for Chris Pronger's view of hockey than I do Scott Arniel's. And you know what, Scott Arniel, just you won the game. You don't need to whine. You won the game. And Prongs is 100% right. You know what, Scott Arniel, you should coach better. Make your player aware of other players that are going to check your player. That's bad coaching that you just admitted to.
Hasn't this been a physical series?
Yeah, it has.
On both sides? Haven't the
it's
Jets also actually out-hit the Blues in certain games?
Well, the Jets pride themselves on being heavy, right?
They are, yeah. So I don't really understand what he's getting at here. Is he trying to also make sure that things work in his favor as it goes back here to St. Louis? I don't know. I just don't like the tone of that whatsoever.
And I don't think that NHL officials, to be honest with you, are good enough to give one team the advantage or the other. There's a lot they don't see. Sometimes they see some things that you don't think that nobody else sees. I just think that NHL officiating, I think we should all accept it, leaves a lot to be desired.
Prongs also knows a thing or two about hitting and obviously being a great defenseman. And he's right. I mean, Shifley needs to be more aware there in that situation. It's a physical game. This isn't game 1 of the series where you don't know what exactly your opponent's doing. This has been the tone of the entire series. And the big talk around the NHL about how physical this has been, you have to have your head more on a swivel in those situations.
As Ken Hitchcock used to tell us, hey, this is going to be a man's game. And you know what? You got to be ready for it. You've got to be ready for a game like that.
It's a man's game. And I just think it's crazy to act like they haven't been doing hits just like that on their side.
Oh, no doubt about it. I mean, the Blues have lost some guys. Robert Thomas isn't able to practice on a daily basis. Shen has to take his maintenance days. Yeah, there's the hit that Tyler Tucker took. Well, it wasn't a hit, but, he crumpled to the ice, so we'll blame the Jets for it. So there's a lot that has gone on in this series, a lot that hasn't been called either.
Jordan Kyrou, going back to when we were talking about that hit with Stanley, it feels like he hasn't exactly been the same since then. I know that with Jordan Kyrou last night, and it wasn't just this game, but this series, we haven't seen much from Jordan Kyrou.
No, we haven't. And
I'm not trying to do the whole like piling on him thing again, where it's like, oh, here we go. We're going to put this on Jordan Kyrou, but he just hasn't been getting it done, especially 6-on-5 when we saw that opportunity down in the stretch.
And it's interesting because when Jim Montgomery talked about how after game 1 or 2, he talked about, or game 3 or 4 here, he talked about Kyrou going to the net, and he said that's when you know you have buy-in from your players, when a guy like Jordan Kyrou does it. He felt like he had Kyrou bought in, and it must have been after game 3, and then since then he has been reticent, it seems like, to get involved in the action, to get his nose dirty.
And we don't know. I mean, all these guys are battling something at this point. We talked about how physical this series is, but it seems like he hasn't exactly been the same since that Stanley hit when you're going back to this series at the beginning of it. And also in the second period, that's where things really fell apart for the Blues. It felt like they just spent the entire period in their own defensive zone. And so when that happens, you know that the puck's going to go in the net.
Yeah, they played really bad in the second period.
They did.
Now, you mentioned Stanley. How about him tossing around Jimmy Snuggerud like a rag doll?
I thought Jimmy handled that really well.
I did too.
Because we've talked about that with the younger players. You're learning how different things are in the playoffs, where the refs are only going to notice how you respond to things, not necessarily what led up to that point. And I thought he did a great job of handling that, because I was watching him and Stanley kept trying to get in his face. And then all of a sudden, Buchnevich was in another fight and another scrum himself. And then he sees that happening. You saw Buch just like beeline over to get in front of Stanley and Snuggerud.
Yeah.
But I thought Jimmy handled that really well.
I thought so. And I guess if you have a guy that's 6'7" and 230, you like the way that he uses his size to toss people around. But as a fan of the opposing team, I wish somebody would spear him.
Randy, spear him.
It's a penalty. You take a penalty.
Oh my gosh! Don't spear him.
Plenty of area to spear him too.
Oh
by the way.
No, this could be business. And Stanley only goes after the smaller and younger players. He avoids our bigs.
I think if our bigs went after him, I think he'd get into it with him.
You want to see a Karraker Stanley fight?
No, I don't.
No? Okay. Why?
What Stanley needs for his comeuppance is a guy like Chris Pronger to get whacked a little bit.
Is Prongs like just available just to step in? Like,
you
know how you could do
one game.
Yeah, like a celebrity shot if you're playing beer pong or something like that. Just have Prongs come in just for 1 minute where he can maybe show Stanley who's the boss there.
I think that'd be good.
Not spearing people though.
Why not?
It's very violent.
From what I understand, and I don't know, I'm not a doctor. Scott Arneal, I'm not a doctor, but this is what I understand. You don't really need a spleen to live.
Oh God, no, Randy.
Matthew, have you heard this? As a Matthew knows people in the medical field. Have you heard
people in the medical field?
Well, he's not a doctor, but we know people in the medical field. Have you heard that you don't need a spleen to be alive?
No,
you don't need a
spleen. I haven't heard this before. I really.
You don't need a spleen. A spleen. If you get speared, if you get speared and they have to take out your spleen. Yeah,
I thought you were using a different word. My apologies. Yeah, I think you can get your spleen removed and you can keep on living.
So that's I don't think spleen is unnecessary. Is my point. Logan Stanley doesn't need his, but you could knock him out for the rest of the series. Because he had to have it removed.
I don't think the spleen is full on like appendix level. Like I still think it still is like a usage in our body, but it's something that you can do without.
Yeah, that's my point. So Stanley doesn't need his, so we could keep you alive.
It's like saying you don't need your second kidney.
Well, yeah, you don't, right?
It still does something.
Well, but
it's for blood filtration, which I feel like is slightly important.
Google the spleen?
I did.
Look up. But look up.
I did not know that off the top of my head. I will not pretend like I did.
And the kidneys do that too, don't they?
It's for blood filtration.
You really can't lose one kidney and a spleen, apparently.
Yeah.
Spleen removal, also known as spleenectomy, is a surgical procedure where the spleen is removed. This can be done due to a variety of reasons, including injury. There we go.
You can use a surgery to remove my arm. It doesn't mean I don't need it.
Well, you don't. I'm telling you, there have been multiple athletes that have had their spleens removed.
Oh my god!
You don't.
You're not wrong there.
So like a ruptured spleen, often caused by an injury, may necessitate its removal. I'm just saying that this is my suggestion for the Blues for Game 6.
to get a message across is to
let them know you're there.
Oh man, that's one way to let people know that you're there, is
put a bounty on a player.
Basically. Oh my gosh.
Hey, we're going to talk more hockey at the bottom of the hour with our buddy Cam Jansen. Looking forward to that. And we need you to make sure that you've subscribed to our YouTube page and like this video. And if you haven't already, go to sportshubstl.com, sign up for the Hub newsletter. It's sent to your inbox twice a week. And anytime St. Louis sports news breaks, you're going to be the first to know about St. Louis sports or Sports Hub STL events and merchandise, get exclusive content and prize opportunities and more. You can also read Bernie, by the way, at sportshubstl.com. While you're on the site, you need to check out not only Bernard J. Miklas, but St. Louis sports content, including game recaps, programming highlights, sports news and opinion, gambling tips, and more. It's all on the website at sportshubstl.com. Cardinals played a doubleheader yesterday. They play at 11:40 again to wrap up their series in Cincinnati this morning. And Brooke, I'm doing math here. Let me think. Hold on. Let me get my calculator.
Mathing. Yes.
Okay, so the way I've got this figured is that if the Cardinals do win today, they will win the series on the road against the Reds.
Is that even possible for them?
I didn't know it was legal.
I didn't know that it was legal. I didn't know if it was allowed for this to happen. How about that? They actually win twice yesterday with the doubleheader. I wasn't expecting that, but hey, you'll take it at this point. What a game it was for the Cardinals. I mean,
Mhm.
moving Mason when up to the 2-hole.
Love it.
Did not know what to expect with that, but clearly worked out really well for them offensively. And then you had Miles Michaelis on the mound. And look at how he's doing out there.
Mhm.
Remember all those people who were saying you just wanted to send him off into the
DFA
sun,
him.
DFA him, get rid of him, cut ties. Look at what Miles Michaelis provided for you yesterday. Steven Matz starting the game too. And then Gordon Graceffo, huge game for him.
Speaking of SportsHubSTL.com, check it out right
Yes.
now. Brendan Schaefer did an incredible article breaking down Miles Michaelis' season so far and his 2.42 ERA if you remove the Boston start.
So that Boston start was really bad, really bad, because I think how many runs did he give up in that one? I'm trying to remember off the top of my head.
9-8 earned, I think, in 2 2/3.
Yeah, so that Boston game really hiked up his ERA. Yeah, it was 11. Let's see. Yeah. And 11 hits and 2 2/3 innings. So that will definitely inflate your ERA. But if you take that one little one out, then Brendan is right. His ERA would really not be bad outside of that. He has a 2.39 ERA in his other 5 starts outside of that Boston game, and he's allowed 2 or fewer runs in 4 of them.
So maybe he goes from being a DFA guy to a guy that you can offer around baseball. To
Do you think
pitch in a
that?
pennant race.
You think so?
Well, why not? I mean, there's a lot of guys out there that aren't pitching that well.
That's true. A lot of injuries across the league. So teams get really desperate. Maybe there's a possibility that you could get something out of that. But Steven Matz is another guy that I look at too that could be a possibility there. Steven Matz is doing everything right, where he deserves the opportunity to be in the starting rotation. But we've talked about the starting rotation isn't necessarily the issue, right? It's the bullpen.
Right.
So they're doing this whole 6-man rotation. Is it sustainable? No. Who's going to be the odd guy out in that situation if we keep Steven Matz in this position where he's a starter?
Well, Liberatore goes today. You're not going to move Sonny Gray out of the rotation.
No.
Maybe the guy, and it's not that he's pitched poorly, but the guy who has experience in the bullpen is Palante.
I was thinking that. I was thinking Palante could be the guy that maybe goes to the bullpen, but it's just, it's hard because you're having to mix and match and work around these guys. Steven Matz has done a great job in the bullpen and in your starting rotation.
Did Gordon Graceffo earn a spot in Brooke Grimsley's bullpen last night?
Yes, 100%. Gordon Graceffo, he looked great out there, and he allowed just 1 run and 2 hits and 5 strikeouts in the final 5 innings, and he was piggybacking there. He deserves to be in the bullpen. I think that would be a great piece. And I think that you're having Leahy move more to that high leverage role. Maybe he can take Leahy's position in that bullpen.
And then Leahy moves into the 8th.
Yeah. A little
And
later guy.
that'd be fine. I can handle that. And then Swanson looked good yesterday too.
Yeah.
And they never use him. He's the break glass in case of emergency guy. But I think that he should get more opportunity as well.
Yeah, I know. I didn't know when we were going to exactly use him. It didn't seem like it would be much, if ever. But yeah, we got some savants in use.
I loved in the opener that the Cardinals, and this is one of the great things about the Cardinals. You know, you think they don't care about us. They only care about making money and stuff like that. But the players love you, and the players love us. And the players in the 9th inning did get us 60-cent drinks today.
Oh,
They had
see,
one
they're thinking
run.
about
They
that.
had one run going into the 9th. Matthews shaking his head no. But the fact of the matter is they hit back-to-back home runs to get you to 6 runs to get you 60-cent drinks.
My thing is, I already talked about this on the pregame show. I am now Greg Warren's dad, where I am now calling a conspiracy on Mobile on the Run,
Fishy.
getting 2 games with 6 runs and us only getting 1 day with cheap drinks. Frankly, I'm with Greg Warren's dad. This sounds a little fishy.
Maybe what they should do if you have a doubleheader is have 30-cent drinks the day after the Cardinals score 6 runs twice.
I just think if you show up at Mobile on the Run, they just hand you a beverage.
I think that's a good idea too. Okay. And one other point to be made here is that the Cardinals would not have gotten to 6 runs if they would have taken my suggestion to John Denton yesterday and played only 7 innings.
Oh, yeah. That would have worked out.
So thank you, Cardinals, for providing the 60-cent drinks, because you never know what's going to happen in game 2. And in game 2, you get a 3-run homer from Wilson Contreras, who is hot. You know, it's interesting how guys who have an 800-plus career OPS wind up having an 800-plus OPS at the end.
You're saying that it's like a trend. There's a pattern there.
Yeah, there kind of is. I think sometimes we tend to look at guys' struggles for a couple of weeks, couple of at bats, and say, "Oh, that's who he is." No, what he is over the course of 6 years rather than 3 weeks.
I thought that you thought that he was a waste. That's what people were telling
That's
me.
what people were saying. Yeah. Here's the thing. I never used that word, did I, Brooke? He is a very good offensive player, and he's serving the Cardinals well as a first baseman. Is he not?
Yes.
But is he catching? Has he caught yet this year?
No.
As I recall, the way the story is read, when he was signed in November of 2022,
Mhm.
the Cardinals signed catcher Wilson Contreras to a 5-year, $87.5 million contract. They didn't say the Cardinals have signed first baseman Wilson Contreras to a 5-year, $87.5 million contract.
I'm just over here stirring the pot.
I think there is a distinction to be made between the position of catcher and the position.
But
of
everybody
first
knew
base.
that he was eventually going to be a first
Oh, they
baseman,
did?
right?
Oh, okay.
Or
Well,
an outfielder, because they also mentioned that. But then the next day,
they did, yeah. a
that
couple years
didn't
ago.
happen either.
Yeah.
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 So anyway, he's performing. He'll perform well at the end of the season. He'll give you his numbers. And
Yep.
guys have a tendency to do that. And so good for him. Good for Pages, who appears to be growing as an offensive player too.
Yeah, I'm really excited to see Pages, and I wasn't expecting this whatsoever. And I think that he might have been a surprise for the Cardinals too. But the way that he handles the pitching staff, big plus for him.
Mhm.
But then the bat was always the concern. The bat's coming along for him. You can tell that he's getting a lot more comfortable at the plate. But for Pages, the way that he's able to just really handle his duties behind the plate has always impressed me. And then you add some of the offensive numbers to it too. And that just makes a really well-rounded player that they really need in a catcher right now. By the way, Herrera is starting his rehab assignment. So it'll be interesting to see what that looks like when he comes back, because that DH position is getting clogged up for the Cardinals.
Yeah, there's like a half dozen of them.
There's plenty
There's
plenty
a
of
lot.
DH options on
Yeah.
this team. There's no shortage of that whatsoever.
And yesterday, another day where you just didn't get much production out of Gorman or Jordan Walker, and the Cardinals will give those guys opportunities. But at some point, you have to find a way to get Ivan Herrera once he's back to get
Mhm.
that bat in the lineup. And if it's not going to be behind the plate, it's probably not going to be at first base. You have to find a spot for him.
I think that you just still have to ride things out, though, with the young players and evaluating
do.
them. You have to. And that's what we were talking to John Denton yesterday, is it's going to be painful. You're going to see some struggles, but then you see moments like where you're having Walker break through a little bit yesterday. You have these
Mhm.
guys breaking through, and that's the whole point of the season,
Yep.
right? Is that you want them to be able to work through everything here at the major league level. That was something that we criticized the Cardinals for last season, is that they were so quick to pull guys and send them down before they could work through anything here.
Yeah, and sometimes guys take more time to develop than other guys. And if I could be guaranteed that the people that are checked in right now here on YouTube, and by the way, we love your comments in the YouTube chat. But if you could all promise me that, okay, the Cardinals, and I'll give you this one. You can go with this one as long as you want. Cardinals didn't give Randy Arozarena a chance, and he turned into a productive player. Now we're complaining that the Cardinals are giving people a chance and they haven't started to hit yet. If you can promise me that when Jordan Walker goes somewhere and starts hitting the daylights out of the ball as a 24-year-old, if you can promise me that you won't complain, I'm game. I'll say, let's do this.
And Nolan Gorman, you could put him in that
and he's going
category
to turn
too.
25 next week. Next weekend, I think Nolan Gorman turns 25. Yeah, Nolan Gorman touches the ball with his bat. It is hit hard. It goes. And yeah, I'm sure the Cubs fans are thrilled with the fact that they non-tendered Kyle Schwarber.
To your point about players moving on, we get upset about how successful they are elsewhere. You sent an article last night that was very interesting about Tommy Edman. Tommy Edman was a productive player while he was here with St. Louis, but the Dodgers unlocked something else in him.
Isn't that interesting? And they tried to get him for 3 years, and his backside would break down. And I think his career high was 13 homers or something like that.
Yeah.
The Dodgers, when they were going to make the trade, knew that there were tweaks in Tommy Edman's setup that would allow him to hit for more power. And here he is with 8 home runs. I think there's only 5 players in Major League Baseball with more home runs than Tommy Edman has. And he's been remarkable. And I'm amazed at the way the Dodgers consistently do this. I don't know who they have. I don't know if they have a George Kissel. I don't know if they have a hitting whisperer, but they did it with Max Muncy. He was just given up for dead by the Athletics. They've done it for Kike Hernandez, who's having another really good year. They did it with a guy like Chris Taylor. They keep doing it again and again and again. And I wonder what it is that the Dodgers have that allows them to get players playing at a way higher level than they played at with their previous team.
I don't even think it's just one person. And maybe I could be completely wrong about this because I'm not completely sure who's behind the scenes, but it's all the resources they have. They built that facility where the players can get medical attention, other attention as well, where they don't have to go out and outsource and find their own people. It's all the same messaging is what it feels like within the organization. From the top down, they have a lot of resources for their players. That's on the analytical side, but also on just the player to player side.
Right. And the Cardinals did hire their director of performance.
Yes.
And hopefully he's aware enough of what occurs there so that he can bring some of that to St. Louis. But would it surprise you at all if, as an example, Nolan Gorman would go to the Dodgers and wind up hitting 40 home runs?
Not at all. And that's what we're talking about why you can't just give up on some of these young players. It's going to be painful to watch. And you might say that you already have Nolan Gorman figured out and that you've seen enough of him. But that's the point of this season, is to give him a full season, as long as he's healthy, to be able to work this out at the major league level. You want them to be able to figure it out here and then produce here.
Okay, so I've got an opinion on this. And I'll give you my opinion. You can agree or disagree. We're focusing right now on 2025. What if Chaim Bloom would come to you and say, I know Walker is really bad right now, but I have a way to fix him, and I need time to implement my ability to fix him. Would you believe Chaim Bloom? Do you trust Chaim Bloom to bring Walker back for another year and try to fix him?
I would say so.
I would too.
I would say so. I like the Cardinals' approach. At first, I was against it. I don't know how you felt about it either at first, too. But at first, I was like, why are we not just going ahead and having Chaim Bloom be the president of baseball operations? Why are we holding his hand through this process? He's not brand new to this position. He's done this before. Why are we taking baby steps into this? But the whole point is that they understand that they got away from development with players, especially at the minor league level. So they're letting him implement his system from the bottom up.
Yep. And here's the way I look at this. And I think I've told you this before. And I think it's really valid. And actually, I think it's kind of been accepted by some of the people that are involved. But Chaim is essentially building an expansion team. And he's building from the ground up like Buck Showalter did when he took over the Arizona Diamondbacks as an expansion team. He's building his system now. He puts Serfolio in place. He puts Matt Pierpont in place. He puts Ethan Goforth in place. All of these minor league instructors, Larry Day, his new director of the minor leagues. And he's got people within the organization too. So he's building a foundation for the development that the Cardinals hopefully are going to have. He knows all the people. He's brought in all of these people that are important. And next year, he'll take over a team that I think the roster is going to be better than a typical expansion team, but he's going to all of a sudden have a major league team next year too. So you've got a system. Next year, you'll have a minor league system where everybody's on the same page. Everybody knows how a Cardinal plays, and that's what you'll bring to the major leagues. And then he can make his choices to teach at the major league level, and maybe that's happening right now, as to how he wants people to go about teaching people how to play.
Brent Brown, I think we all agree, is a great hire. And I know that there's been some times where we've been frustrated with the offense, but a lot of these players who we've seen improve at the plate this season consistently are pointing to Brent Brown and his approach at the plate being a big reason why. I'm assuming Oli Marmol had a lot to do with that hire because it is his coaching staff, so he has the say at the end of the day. But would you be surprised if Chaim Bloom also had a say in that?
No, not at all. And I think that that's a smart way for him to move. I think that I think organizationally, why would you want to bring in a guy that might only be here for a year? Why wouldn't you tell him, okay, what do you want to do long term? And
if it aligns with your vision of where you want things to go.
Exactly. Hey, more baseball later on. We are going to have Cards Hub 365 this afternoon after the Cardinals take on the Reds. Daily Cardinal content right here on Sports Hub 365 or Sports Hub STL with Cards Hub 365, powered by Gray Bar. Comes up for you after the game today, and you're going to have it live right here on Sports Hub STL's YouTube page after the Cardinals take on the Cincinnati Reds. You can also get the show on demand from YouTube after the live broadcast, as well as on Apple, Spotify, or any other major podcast outlet. STL, Sports Hub STL, powered by your DraftKings I have the crown. Yeah, I have no idea what I'm saying. Actually, the copy messed me up. I'm going to blame the copy.
I like that.
But,
That's what I do.
Yeah, Cards Hub STL is powered by Graybar, your distributor for electrical and datacom needs. Okay, now back to hockey. Let's go to our buddy. Let's see who shows up on the line. There he is. There's the one and only Cam Jansen. Hi, Cam. How you doing, man?
What's up? I was just laughing at that live read, man.
See,
I get you. I get you, dude.
The veterans even have trouble.
The wily veterans. The wily veterans mess up once in a while. What's up, guys? What's going on?
You texted me last night when we were setting this up, and you said, "Hey, this is going to be tough," and it was tough. And I think the Blues made it a little tougher on themselves. But let's start with this: Winnipeg is good and played really well, didn't they?
They did. They slowed down the neutral zone. You always talk about the neutral zone, and I know if you're kind of a semi-fan, like, what does that mean? I mean, when you get speed, like Robert Thomas and Jordan Kyrou, when they're at their best, they're easy flow through the neutral zone. Then you have more time in the offensive zone to set up. Winnipeg just smothered the Blues. They smothered the Blues all night long. I thought Connor Hellebuyck was going to go into panic mode after the Snuggerud goal. I'm thinking, oh, here we go. That's the goal that we needed. That's the weak one. He's going to shut down. The pressure's going to get on him, and that wasn't the case. So it was a tough game to watch. Overall, I just feel like they just smothered us. Their defensive game was great. Kyrou didn't do much. Robert Thomas didn't do much. The fourth line was the best line on the ice for the St. Louis Blues that night. That can't be the case. They got to be, ancillary. They have to show up when the Blues need them. But the best players need to be the best, and they weren't last night. So it was tough to watch.
We were talking about some of the controversy around the Scheifele hit. So in your opinion, Cam, was that Braden Schenn hit on Scheifele clean or not?
I mean, it was borderline, but you do that here and there. That's their best player, the number one center, who's been dominating, by the way. He really has. He sets up Connor for everything. Like, he's always in the mix. We talked last time. I'm like, does he ever get off the ice? So if I'm Braden Schenn in that situation, yeah, I'm gonna catch him that way. If you look at the screen when they meet, they're like this. Schinner's not jumping at the moment. When he hits the guy, then he explodes out of him. Then you see his skates come up. But in initial contact, that's a clean hit. Maybe a little late, but it's borderline. Sometimes you got to roll the dice to hit one of their best players to knock him out of the game.
Cam, we made this point about Logan Stanley earlier. He's 6'7" and 230. You love it when he's tossing around people like ragdolls when he's on your side, but when he's on the other side, you want somebody to do something to him. What did you think when you were watching him toss around Snuggerud last night?
He should. Everybody's complaining about that. Everybody's like, I can't believe he's picking on, Snuggerud and Bolduc. I'm like, what? What do you mean? This is a bully league. Of course I'm going to pick on you. I want to get under your skin. I might ragdoll you a little bit, just enough to not get a penalty, just to let you know that I could do that to you. Why wouldn't he do that? Why wouldn't he just give an extra shove when he knows he's not going to get a penalty or get in somebody's face? Of course. You're 6'8". Of course you're going to do that. So people are complaining about that. It's just the way it is. Chara did it. All those guys did that. It still goes on. What do you think Tom Wilson's doing in Washington right now? I mean, it's a bully league, whether you like it or not. That intimidates guys. Now, is Snuggerud like, I'm not going to score a goal now? He's here. No, but it's still like, oh, God, I know this guy. A, he can beat me up. And B, he might step up and hit me like he did Jordan Kyrou. Why do you think Kyrou's probably slowed down a little bit? Because of Logan Stanley. So, like, you got to be bullies. That's what Schinner did. I love Schinner, by the way. He's such a warrior. He is. I know he took a little bit of flack maybe when he first became captain, but he is the toughest guy on the team. Like, he just is by a mile. He does everything he needs to do. Of course, they need to score a big-time goal here and there, but he is so mean, and he counters the Adam Lowrys and the Stanleys. But they're big, they're tough, they're fast, Randy. They really are. And they didn't show it the last couple games at home, but now you go back up to Winnipeg. I told you about the crappy hotel, and the guys are probably like, we got to go to this rink and do our thing. And they're like, no, we're going to stand up now. And Connor Hellebuyck made some big-time saves, so they came together and they beat the Blues.
Cam, when you were playing, you did an unbelievable job of maintaining your equilibrium. You didn't let people, for the most part, get under your skin. I think a lot of us that are watching games would. So I have this question, and you can answer it because you've been injured before in hockey, and this applies to a guy like Stanley. Does a human being need a spleen?
You don't need no spleen, Gene. No,
Okay.
I have no idea. I saw that off Sopranos. No, I don't know. Did he rupture his spleen? Is that what you're saying?
No, somebody needs to, though.
No doubt. Well, you can listen. I liked hitting the big guys. Like Stanley, he's doing a lot, like to get in front of around the net. And he's got his head down because he's not that skilled to be like Bobby Orr. I'm going to 10-2 behind the net. He's going to have his head down eventually, coming around the net, catch him. And especially at home, if you catch Big Stanley with his head down, the place is going to erupt. And then I'm telling you, every time you get hit like that, you slow down about 2 or 3 seconds, if that makes sense.
It does. I like this a lot. I like where your head is. This is good.
He's wanting to spear people. That's what he's been calling for. He wants a spearing to happen.
Well, that's going to be a 2, 5, and 10, and somebody's going to get a 7-minute penalty, and then the game's over.
And
you can't,
Well, okay. Well, yeah, I guess game 6, unless you're up 7-2 again.
You can't do it. You have to be disciplined. See, that's what's tough. Like, and don't think that Winnipeg's not mad at the Blues. Like, Braden Shin knocked out their best player. I don't know if Scheifele's going to play tomorrow night. Like, I don't know. He got rocked twice. Foxa rocked him again.
Mm-hmm.
I think that was a really good hit. Actually, Reddick Foxa has been really good in this series. He's hit a couple guys. He's made some plays. He's just mean. He just grinds it out. He finds ways to make plays in the offensive zone, and he'll whack you here and there. He's not taking penalties. So I love his game, but it's good to hit the number one center. And Mark Scheifele has been dominating, and you got to put him down. And Braden Shin did, and so did Reddick Foxa. So we'll see where he's at. That's the kind of listen. It's a toe-to-toe battle. You gotta do what you gotta do. So we're gonna see what happens tomorrow night. I can't wait.
Cam, I want to go back to Jordan Kyrou, and it's not on him. There's other guys who have to step up too. Your top players have to be your top guys. But we were talking about that earlier. Maybe he just hasn't been exactly the same since that Stanley hit. He finished with 1 shot on goal and was a -3 last night, -5 throughout the series. What do you think is going on with Jordan Kyrou? What are you seeing from him in this series?
Well, all you guys out there that are listening, have you ever got hit like that before? Any of you? I'm just curious. Has anybody ever got hit like that that's listening right now? Do you realize what that does to you? It shakes you up so bad. We talked about it last time. Like I'm telling the soul part, it just does. He's probably still rocked from that. Just like Mark Scheifele. You think he's waking up this morning like, ooh, I feel great. No, he's like this, like, oh God, oh, my sternum, oh, my head, where am I at? Okay. Because, sometimes I remember Kate having to walk me to the bathroom because I was rattled after a fight or whatever. It gets you and it wears you out. So yeah, he's a step behind right now. Could he be better in a couple days? I don't know. There's no 2-day rest now. Now it's like, let's go. There's, the games are coming at you. So you really don't have any rest. They're not really going to practice. So you're not going to know until game time. But yeah, that sets you back when a guy that's 6'8", 250 pounds catches you perfectly to where your head hits the ice and the boards at the same time. Yeah, that's going to set you back a little bit.
All right, Cam, you played on teams that won on the road in the playoffs. Obviously, every home team has won. How does a team, whether it's Winnipeg tomorrow night or the Blues in Game 7, win a road game in this series? Why can't teams win, and how do they do it?
Well, the matchups are a big deal. They really are. The matchups, whatever Monty's feeling, if you're at home, you're like, okay, I'm going to put Robert Thomas on this line. No, I'm going to put the WTF line on Scheifele. And so now you just have a little bit more leeway on how you want to control the game when you're at home. That's really it. The fans, the this, the that, it doesn't matter anymore. Again, you block it out. I told you, that's not bothering you. You have so much other things in your head to where the fan in the back's not going to take you over the edge. Sometimes it does, but for the most part, you just like, let's go. I got to worry about my coach. I didn't block that shot last time. I didn't get the puck in the zone, or I did do something great and I'm feeling good. That fan in the background is not going to do anything. But the matchups, how's Robert Thomas feeling? Now I can maybe not match him up because I know Foxa is doing his thing, so I'm going to put him out there against Connor and Shifley. So those little things go a long way when you have home ice advantage. But everything else is just, it's all blocked out. I'm telling you.
Would you be surprised if this goes to a game 7, Cam?
No. Who's going to be the guy that like pumps everybody up tomorrow night? I'm going to get there early, by the way. I'm going to do something at Union Station. Like, I can't wait for this. I think the Blues fans are going to go crazy. I think the Blues are going to win tomorrow night. Like, am I throwing money down on anything? No, I don't gamble. I got enough things I got to worry about in my life. My wife doesn't want me gambling. It's all good. I get why people do. If I had more money, I probably would. But you never know with hockey. But I would say the Blues are going to come out and play a tight-knit, hardcore game. They're going to check the Jets just like the Jets just did up in Winnipeg. And then if you win tomorrow, then you have a Benner versus Hollebuck game 7, baby. Let's go. Canada versus US. However you want to look at that. Then you just have that set aside. But I think tomorrow night, Blues fans are going to go crazy, and the Blues are going to have a really good game and keep this thing interesting. Listen, the Blues already won this year, just so everybody knows. This is a successful year for this organization, in my opinion. You got all these young kids coming up, doing their thing. Now, Bolduc needs to be better, but Snuggerud finds a way to score a goal last night. Like, you got a lot of positive things going on with this organization. So everything's still, if I'm the Blues, I'm coming at this like, who cares? Let's go. Let's just win a game. Or if I'm Winnipeg and I'm Hollebuck, I'm like, I have to win this, or else my name is going to be tarnished because I can't win the playoffs. There's a big difference in how the pressure coexists with the players.
Cam, this is a very important and controversial question and big topic nationally. So putting you on the spot here, because I know you like some controversial questions every once in a while, and you need to weigh in on this one. And this is a very important framing of this. Ellipsis 150, I have to give you credit for this. How would 100 hockey players fare against one silverback gorilla?
After a while, the weight will be a factor in taking over a gorilla. Now, the first 15 guys are going to get hacked and slashed. Now, gorillas aren't meat eaters, just so you know. They're strong. They eat like grass, like me. They're not killers. They're just big and strong. So after a while, you get 15 dudes on a gorilla choking it out and grabbing it. Like you're going to kill it. So it depends on who you're picking out, by the way. Like if it's some of my buddies that were in the military, yeah, they're going to find a ways to kill that thing. But these other guys that you see running around, I don't know. It might take 1 billion of them. Who knows? But gorillas, now, I would say a polar bear would be a different thing. 100 guys versus a polar bear, one slash of that wrist, I mean, those claws will kill you in an instant. So gorillas aren't meat eaters. Bears are scarier than gorillas.
Okay, you mentioned the first 15 guys are going to get slapped away by that gorilla. In your career, okay, you get to pick the 100 guys.
I fought gorillas, by the way, just so you know. There's a bunch of them,
Okay,
monsters.
Who's the first person you want to send in to get slapped around by the gorilla? Former hockey player that you went against.
Tony, well, I'd say Twister still at this age. I'd put him by my side.
Twister, I think you send him in to knock the guy off at the end. I'm talking about the guy that gets slapped away first.
Okay. So you want a guy that I didn't like. Interesting.
Sacrificial lamb.
I'm going to say, and no one even, but I got embarrassed by Ben Eager with the Chicago Blackhawks. He embarrassed me one time so bad, and I didn't play for like 3 games afterwards. He was number 55 for the Blackhawks. He was a better player than me. We played OHL against each other. He wasn't like, I always wanted to fight him, fought him a couple times. But he was just a little bit better player, and I was jealous of him. And one time in Chicago, while they were doing their winning spree, he choked me out, and I'm like, oh God, he comes up behind me like this, chokes me, and I'm like, oh. And I finally come in, I'm like, I'm going to kill you. We go to the penalty box. I'm like, we're going. This is at Chicago or United Center. And we come out of the penalty box. I drop my gloves. He looks at me and goes right to the net. Jonathan Toews has a puck, scores a goal right when I had no gloves on. And I'm so embarrassed. He chokes me out, then chirps me, then goes and scores a goal, then comes by and like flips me off. And I'm like, oh God, I wanted to crawl into a hole. So I wanted him to go first just to get smacked around a little bit just because of that.
Yeah, and then I'm with you with Twister. But once that silverback gorilla's on the edge, Twister is the one that tips him over at the end because Twister can handle that.
Yeah, it's just silverbacks. They're still plant eaters. Like they're scary, but the bears are the scariest thing going besides crocodiles.
So you, as you mentioned, you're at the pep rally tomorrow at Union Station. Starts at 3:30, right?
I'll be there.
And then I know a new Cam and Strick podcast has dropped. What do you got with that?
Well, we got Calvin DeHaan coming up. We just had Ken Danico talked about the Devils and got into all his stuff in his career where he was a party animal. When I first got to the Devils, by the way, I heard more stories about Ken Danico from everybody I met throughout the whole state of New Jersey. Everybody I met was like, oh, me and Kenny Danico did this. Me and Kenny. I'm like, oh, my God, I want to be this guy. I always wanted to be that. Like you meet people, not just because some guys just hang out with the core group. And I always like to meet people everywhere and just be a social butterfly. And that's how he was. He got caught up in a bunch of stuff. He's Mr. Devil. He's awesome. But we got this other guy on, Calvin DeHaan, who just chirped the New York Rangers in a press conference. That whole thing blew up. He's a veteran guy that sat out like 18 games in a row, and he told the media something while he was walking on the ice. It blew up, so we're going to get him on and talk about how the Rangers are just falling into a weird spiral of negativity out there, and it's always good to get somebody from that big market on, if you catch my drift.
Cam, absolutely. You're the man. Thanks so much for the time. We appreciate it, and we'll try to see you at the game tomorrow.
See you guys. I'll see you tomorrow. Right on.
All right, take care.
Bye, Cam.
Cam Jansen, and you can follow him on Twitter at CamJansen25. That's JANSSEN. And you can also follow Cam and Strick. He's fun, isn't he?
He is. You know, he has a great point about polar bears. I didn't realize until I got older how scary polar bears are. And that if you, of course, not interacting with them here in the South or the Midwest, but if you ever were in that situation, you're screwed, is what I've learned about polar bears.
I'd like to ride one. I think it'd be fun.
I don't think you want to, Randy, because they're going to kill you. They want to kill humans.
You could be like...
they're like one of the only animals, one of the few animals that will actually hunt humans.
Oh, really?
Yes. Like they will hunt humans. I know that you hear with sharks, like, of course, there's shark attacks, but that they don't necessarily want to eat humans. Polar bears will eat a human.
I wonder if you run into one that knows Cat-Tow Joe, though.
I think that was some marketing to maybe help them seem a little bit cooler.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Rick Tamblyn rode a bear with no problem at all.
What?
That's true. Good point.
What was it? Was it just
I believe in
it was a
Anchorman,
grizzly?
they're black bears, which
they're
are the most docile, the tiniest, and the easiest to get away from. And because you're like,
is it brown? Is it brown? The ones that you have to worry about?
I think
grizzly.
I think you're supposed to run away from black because they're smaller and you might be able to leg it out.
Okay.
Brown bears are so big. Grizzly bears are so big. They will run you down. So you're just supposed to curl into a ball and hope the grizzly bear just like doesn't want to eat you. Polar bears, to Brooke's point, you're done.
You're done.
It's faster than you, and if it gets you, it will not sniff you to see if you go into a ball. It will just start eating the ball of meat.
Yes.
Really?
100%.
Delicious.
Have you ever watched? No. Have you ever watched on Discovery Channel? I grew up watching Discovery Channel.
Terrifying.
But on the Discovery Channel, they have a show where I think it's called Survived or something like that. It's people who survived vicious animal attacks sharing their stories. And it is the most horrifying things. And I can tell you without a doubt, the scariest stories are the bear attacks because they don't just kill you instantly. They will torture you, basically.
Also, they've done videos too where they put a guy in like a metal cage with like windows so that the polar bear could see the meat inside there. The polar bear does not stop trying to break through the metal cage to get to the human being. Like the grizzly bear is going to be like, this is tough.
It's going to give up.
I got something easy. I'll just go into the river and swat some salmon. The polar bear is like, no. That's meat. That's warm. And I will find a way to get through this metal cage to it. Polar bears are terrifying, which is why you have to wonder if what Coke did was a little bit irresponsible.
To make them seem cool and
like
friendly just like friendly and nice.
Slide down the ice on a little ice slide to drink some Coca-Cola with me and Santa Claus. No. It seems a little irresponsible.
They want you to think that was big polar bear trying to do some PR management so that people will go back around them.
Yeah. So if we're going to be in a battle against a polar bear, You're going to bet on the polar bear, right?
Yeah, I'm going to take the polar bear in that one.
Okay, good. Hey, kids, did you know that baseball season is officially underway? And with that being the case, you need to step up to the plate with DraftKings Pick 6. Think of DraftKings Pick 6 as your fastball right down the middle. It's the easiest way for you to play for cash and take a shot at a big win. Here's what I got going on today. I've got Elio Ramos of the San Francisco Giants. He's at home against Colorado, and I've got him to get more than 1.5 total bases. So I've got him for 2+ stolen bases, total bases. So that's Elio Ramos. And then I'm going to go to 8+ strikeouts thrown. First guy is Paul Skeens against the Cubs. Paul Skeens, 8 strikeouts against the Cubs. Seems like free money. So I'm going to go Paul Skeens, 8+ strikeouts, and Elio Ramos, 2+ total bases. It's really fun to play. Just select 2 or more players and choose if they'll have more or less of a stat, just like that. And Pick 6 is available in Missouri, in California, in Texas, in Georgia, and more. You can cash in on your baseball knowledge. New players get $50 in Pick 6 credits instantly on your first $5 entry. Use the promo code STL Sports when you go to DraftKings. The crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org in Connecticut. Must be 18 and over. Age and eligibility restrictions vary by jurisdiction. Pick 6 not available everywhere, including New York and Ontario. Void where prohibited. 1 per new customer. Bonus awarded as non-withdrawable Pick 6 credits that expire in 14 days. Limited time offer. See terms at pick6.draftkings.com/promos.
Now it's time for the Grim Report. Actually, we should just turn the Grim Report into the Bill Belichick and his girlfriend report, because that's what it's turning into, because there's something new every single day. I don't know if you saw yesterday, but UNC put out a statement via Bill Belichick, but they put it on their website where he was talking about that CBS interview. We discussed that a little bit, where he's trying to paint this picture of he didn't understand why the interview went in that direction. You called her your muse in her book, and you're going on a tour to discuss the book. So then every detail of the book will be discussed. If you watch that interview with CBS, it's clear that he was even uncomfortable. Like somehow he was surprised that they would even bring up Robert Kraft not being in the book.
Yeah.
They're going to bring up everything that is and isn't in that book, but your girlfriend is mentioned in the book as your muse. She's right there with you in the interview. Why would people not bring that up? And why would you be surprised? Who is your PR person?
Her.
You would think you would have more than just her. Yeah. Did she get rid of anybody else around him who could advise him on this?
He made certain unrealistic demands. And obviously, even the publisher said, no, we aren't going to agree to this. The publisher and PR people said, when he said, I only want to talk about things in the book, they said, no, that's not the way this works. Let me give you an example. Larry King is one of the greatest interviewers of our time, of anybody's time.
Yes.
And when he would do his show on CNN, he made it a point to not read the book because he was curious. He didn't want to know the answers to the questions, which I think is a great way to go about interviewing an author.
I forgot. Yeah, he did do that. Yeah. I forgot all about that. Like he would have no clue what was in the book.
But he would learn stuff. Matthew, go ahead.
That mindset of his created some of the most awkward and hilarious moments in interviewing history.
Yeah. But it's almost like Belichick has never watched an interview about a book before or listened to one. I did a thing with Mike Matheny a couple of weeks ago. He's got a new book out about coaching. It's called Dad Coach. And we spent 35 minutes, and we might have spent 10 minutes talking about the book. And then the other stuff was ancillary to learn about him and learn more about his life and the way he approaches things.
Isn't that the point of bringing somebody on for an interview? If you didn't want to promote your book and you don't want any money from it, then just don't go on a press tour. Yeah. They will ask you questions about your life. Even if you say, no, I don't want to your publisher also seems confused by your messaging. So it's not even like that you were on board with everybody. And you can't be confused when media members ask you very reasonable questions. I thought that the interview was just fine. He wasn't even hammering Bill Belichick or judging him. He didn't say, so you're dating this 24-year-old girl that's in here. He was like, oh, that picture is like really nice of you with you being the fisherman and the mermaid. And you could tell Bill Belichick's like, huh?
Yeah.
Like what?
He
How do
hasn't
you see
used the
that?
interface that much, has he?
Yeah, I just think that it's really weird. And you would think that somebody who, I know he didn't like speaking to the media during his coaching time, but somebody who has been around this long in the business, that you don't understand how all of that will work. And that being really tough in that way, or acting confused, or that you were surprised, just makes matters worse. It looks like you're not in control of your own narrative when you're the one who's putting out a book and you want people to read a book about you.
And Brooke, I think if he was able to self-reflect, and I don't know that he is, but if he wanted to get to the bottom of why he is not a head coach in the NFL, I think it's because of this. It's because of his demand of total power and having complete control over everything that goes on around him. You can do that when you're winning 6 Super Bowls and you've got the owner bamboozled. You can't do that when you've got a publisher that's going to make their money not off of the money that they give you, but off of how many books you sell, in large part because you're going on a promotional tour.
It doesn't even look like that he's in control of things, though.
No.
It looks like his 24-year-old girlfriend is in control of things.
Right, but I don't know if he knows that yet.
You don't think that he's completely aware that he has to be somewhat aware that she's control, but she was the one who was interrupting the interview. Maybe that's what he thought he wanted, but you look like an old man where his granddaughter is stepping in trying to speak for him because he's not in the right mental state anymore.
I think you're undeniably true. That's why for me, yesterday's story from this whole thing wasn't the CBS response, because that was predictable. We all kind of knew, well, other than Bill Belichick, we all knew how
the
this
real
business
estate
actually
story
works. This stuff is the stuff that's blowing my mind. And I pulled the article from realtor.com so that we can just see some of the snippets and how honestly insane this is. This was the headline from realtor.com, their article yesterday. Inside Bill Belichick's 24-year-old girlfriend, Jordan Hudson's $8 million property portfolio as she forges career as real estate mogul. And some of the things inside this are absolutely insane. They run down the entire timeline of when she started buying these houses. It just runs through. First reported by Daily Mail, she took out a $1.2 million mortgage on a $2.2 million Dorchester townhouse on December 1st, 2023.
They weren't dating yet then, were they?
Yes.
The listing suggests that Hudson has spent time renovating the property.
I thought she just had her own money.
No.
Also located in Dorchester's
They met in 2021.
Polish Triangle neighborhood. The apartment comes complete with a private outdoor space because she also bought a building that she's turned into an apartment complex. The third property is Hudson's booming real estate collection in Boston, is the city's Roxbury Crossing neighborhood. Hudson paid $3 million for that multifamily dwelling, which she purchased on December 15th, 2023, just 2 weeks after buying the properties in Dorchester. And you can see the picture there from realty.com. And to your point, Randy, asking about the timeline, you can see it right here. At the time of all 4 property purchases, Belichick was still working in his role as head coach of the New England Patriots, position that he left in January 2024, and it runs it down again here. On all the mortgage documents for those properties, Hudson listed a 4th dwelling, this time a single-family home, as her resident, a quaint 2-bedroom cottage in Harwich, Massachusetts, which she purchased for $610,000 in October 2023.
Amazing. So before we get to some of the fun facts about this, I love the chat. This could be Ben. I live for the Bill and Jordan drama. Aaron Ed, thank you very much for the chat. Bill, blink twice if you need help.
I don't know if he knows fully what's going on.
That's my other question. And then Ellipsis 150. You think UNC fires Bill before the season starts? Seems to be way too much drama and negative PR because of everything with that woman. I don't think they do.
I also need just the thing that jumped out to me as we were talking earlier about, is his family worried? Is he getting married? And those kind of things. The way this is framed and the follow-up that I saw from other people who were following up on this story is that all of this property is in her name.
And I wonder if he would be surprised to know that.
And also, apparently, the copyrights for the Belichick Productions,
she's the one who did
company that she apparently is running. She owns the copyrights for the company now too. So it's like, everyone who's throwing out, this is sketchy, is his family worried, are his friends worried? They have to be, because now this has reached the most telltale signs of things we see in like the regular world when people get taken advantage of. This is it. The younger person without the money has all the assets in their name, despite the fact that none of the cash to buy the assets is coming from them. Her mom apparently is living in a very nice house that she wasn't earlier. You connect your outside family into the money from your significant other. Everything is hitting those telltale signs we see.
Is Jordan Hudson to Bill Belichick as Ippy Mizahara is to Shohei Ohtani?
No, Shohei didn't do it.
But here's the thing, though. But he also didn't know. Does Bill?
Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay. Oh, okay. The thing is that she's really sinking her claws into this situation. If you also look at that UNC statement, Bill defends her, saying she was simply doing her job. So she is working for him in a professional capacity and personal. That's also a big legal issue too. If something happens down the line legally, she could do something against him, because there's a professional relationship and a personal relationship. So if things go south, she also has that in her corner too. I don't know. The whole situation is just really fishy to me. And the real estate portfolio, especially in the story too, they mentioned that she didn't exactly come from money. Of course, we don't know anybody's full background, right? But it seems
her dad was a fisherman, right?
You're buying property in 2023. We all know.
And then her mom owned like a sex toy shop. Yeah.
What the market's like. Yeah. This isn't an easy market to be buying stuff. It's not a cheap, soft market. So even if, they were sitting on some family money, no one's sitting on family money to buy 4 houses in a year where the market's at its toughest it's been in 50 years.
It's just it's so strange. Like everything about it is so creepy, so strange.
I think it's wonderful.
No, you don't think it's love.
I don't.
No, there's nothing lovely about this, Randy.
Oh, well, this is Bill Belichick. For Bill, it's love.
Does he even know what's going on?
I'm not sure. I think
Does he even know what's going on at this point? He looks so confused during that entire interview. It's like, I wanted to ask him, if I was the interview, I'd say, do you know that you have a book out right now? Because you're acting like that none of these questions would come up. Are you aware, Bill, that there's a book about you out right now, that this is why you're doing this press tour?
Huh? So, and I wonder now, it is interesting that Robert Kraft was not mentioned in the book. I wonder now, and maybe Robert Kraft was just being nice in the way he treated it, but maybe there was some Bill weirdness going on then.
You think so?
I think it's probably more acceptable because
wasn't he a sugar daddy for somebody?
For a woman in New Jersey, married woman in New Jersey, he was sending cash to her. Yeah, and bought her like a $75,000 car.
Yeah.
So
this might have been an ongoing thing, but then Robert Kraft can't really say anything. What am I? Wait a minute. It would be 2 peas in a pod in that situation.
Sometimes sometimes you're nervous when you own a team, and on the day of the championship game, sometimes you just need to fly somewhere and just get
the version
get
of
it all squared up.
That I expected was something similar to this, except for the houses are all in his name, but we're hearing a lot of stories because that realty.com article actually ran down the listings and it described how their listings changed from before she bought it to and when she has it now to point out the amount of work that's being done on the houses. And if it was a case of Belichick bought the houses, she's revamping them, they're going to flip them, and then she's going to become personally wealthy from that.
I think
that'd be very normal.
Yeah.
But the fact that the houses are in her name, which means anything after the fact is still benefiting her, that's where it's red flags just got to start popping up.
Big time. And I would think that because all of those are listed as apartment properties, I think that they all have 3 apartments each available to people. So she's probably cleaning up. And my hope for Bill, and he and Robert Kraft had a long and productive relationship with the Patriots. I would hope that this winds up being like Robert Kraft's situation where he has a happy ending.
Oh, no, I should have known that it was going somewhere in that direction. Should have known. I knew that we were building up to something.
You hear the screech. And you can't stop it, Brooke.
It's already happening.
Look away from it. It's happening, and we just have to, take what happens.
Oh my gosh, it's so bad. But
come on, you laughed.
That's so
not that bad.
Mama beat you to it.
Oh, there we go. See.
No,
thank you, Mama.
There is no happy ending to this. There is no. Do you think Robert Kraft is banned from those places? I mean,
There's not a lot of things we can guarantee right now in this story, but that might be one of them.
How old is Robert Kraft's girlfriend?
Oh, isn't she really young?
Yeah, like
the new one.
Yeah, I think they're in competition.
How cute!
I don't know if he dumped the one. I was doing Robert Kraft competition.
That's a creepy competition.
Girlfriend age.
Usually that's a competition you get into on an island.
Oh, she is young.
Oh, he's married.
They married?
October of 22.
How did we miss this beautiful love story?
Oh, now hold on a second.
Dana.
So he goes to the wedding. He goes to the wedding.
Oh.
See Robert Kraft marrying this girl in 2022.
It doesn't sound like he was invited to the wedding.
No.
At that point, he was still the head coach.
It seemed like
the head coach to the wedding.
It seems like things were probably like crumbling behind the scenes for a while there.
Post Garoppolo.
Yeah,
that's where everything happened.
He was dating somebody younger
stuff.
than this.
Yeah.
So hold on.
Wow. Don't they feel weird having like such a young girlfriend, or is that
evidently not?
I feel like you would have to feel really. Everybody knows what. Do you think that? And to the point of the question about UNC, I can see this going south with him and UNC, where if they start sucking, he's not recruiting well, then what's the story going to be? Right? The story is going to be that he's focusing too much on his 24-year-old girlfriend. She's a distraction. She's on the field. She's handling things behind the scenes. And so then things will go south there. I think that he thought it would look really cool having his 24-year-old girlfriend around him around college because she's so close in age to the players that maybe that would help him.
I don't think he
connect
with
the players.
I don't think he thought
I know,
that
but
part
do you
through.
think that that's what he thought at first? It's like, oh, I'm going to go to a college and she's close in age to him, so she'll help me connect to them.
When you're 75 is put your 24-year-old girlfriend around the 50 most attractive people on campus.
Mm-hmm.
You think the football players are the most attractive people on the campus?
I mean, a good chunk of them are 6'4", 250 pounds with abs. Not bad.
The O lineman would like to have a word there.
Again, the amount of women I know who simply will swipe right on a guy if he's taller than 6 feet, I think the offensive linemen are doing just fine.
You're not wrong. I will give you that.
Have you seen Jason Kelsey?
I do know. He has a great personality, though, too. Girls do go for personality. If it's
have you heard how they met?
At a bar.
He had to be drunkenly carried out on their first date. You're telling me he's not 6'2", 295 with a couple million in the bank? He gets date 2? I'm not saying she married him because of that. I'm saying date 2 happened because of that.
I will say it surprises me that in our grown age, that we see, I still hear women and dating advice, right? Like not that any relationship is perfect, but sometimes when you're around your single friends, they'll bring up like, oh, I still have to date a guy that's like 6 foot or something. I'm like, why is that the top thing on your list? There was one girl that I talked to one time and asking her about her dating life and like what she's looking for a guy. The first thing she said, she's like, well, he has to make this amount of money and he has to be over 6 foot. And I'm like, girl, that pool's getting smaller and smaller by the longer this list gets. Like that shouldn't be the top of your list.
No.
I just think in your 30s like that, and not that you should settle, but I'm saying like, I think you got to look outside the physical attributes sometimes.
Yeah. So is Belichick, she's 24, right? And he's 73. Is that right?
Yes.
24.
He just turned
like
73.
Years younger?
Yeah.
Okay. So Kraft's widest disparity with somebody he dated was 38 years. 38 years older. But I would think that how
old is Dana? She looks young.
She's 33 years younger.
Oh, okay.
And the one girl,
she almost looks younger than Bill Belichick's girlfriend.
Oh man, Ricky Lander had a baby with him with Kraft.
Oh,
yeah. And
how old is he again?
He's 81 now,
and he has a baby out there.
Yep, he does. Well, not anymore because they were together. I guess in 2016 or so. So there you go. So he's got there's another Kraft that can own part of a football team down the road.
Ellipsis 150 says, great personality, makes really good money. So nice and caring, but he's 5'9". He gone. No.
You're not my father. Okay.
There's a lot of people I know who have to deal with that.
What
with they got a lot of great things going, but they're
Wilson. Are you struggling? Oh wait, Wilson, we haven't done it. Uncle Randy, give Wilson some dating advice.
We'll do that. We'll do it next Wednesday.
Okay.
Hey, Sports
Wilson,
Hub STL.
You have to wait a while for that.
Hey, did you?
Me up like that?
Okay, sorry about that.
It's too easy.
Yeah. Did you guys know that tomorrow night the Battlehawks are playing
Yes.
And I am doing the Battlehawks post-game show here on Sports Hub STL.
Oh, nice.
By the way, tomorrow night, everyone's playing.
I know, but I want everybody to listen.
But we only care about his post-game show.
I know. You're right.
Yeah. And here's what you need to do. You need to tune in because if you're a Battlehawks fan, you need to be sure to catch Battlehawks Hub weekly. Now available on Sports Hub STL. I'll join Judy Strotter tomorrow, and we'll get you set for, we'll be post-game for the Battlehawks here on Sports Hub STL, presented by Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken with the new Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken Battlehawks box. You can score up to 30% off Battlehawks tickets, plus get 4 of their famous breast strips and a side of potato wedges for just $8.99, only at Lee's Famous for Chicken. You know what I'm going to do tomorrow? I'm going to get one of these Battlehawks boxes, and I'm going to have some product placement for the post-game show.
Look at you, Randy.
I'm doing it.
That's brilliant.
Thank you.
And you can give a live review of it, too.
I absolutely will.
I'll have to tune in just so that you can rate the potato wedges for me.
It's going to be fun. Okay, so we'll do that. Doesn't that just look delicious?
It does, actually. It's making me really hungry because it's close to lunchtime.
Yeah, it is. Okay, one other thing, though. Last night, America's team, the Los Angeles Lakers, got they got knocked out.
America's team?
First round of the playoffs. Well,
I'm shocked by this. No, I'm not. Called it. Anthony Edwards. Let's go.
There you go. My favorite Doritos are the LeBron James Nacho Year Doritos.
Oh.
Yeah.
Can I talk about Anthony Edwards for a moment though?
Yes, you
sure,
may.
go
So
ahead.
he was walking around downtown after they won the game, just talking with fans and having moments.
And this is in LA.
Yes, which is I love Anthony Edwards so much. By the way, I saw somebody post that Anthony Edwards is David's is like the ultimate like fear if David Stern was still walking the earth, which is AI's personality and MJ's talent. Because if you don't know about Anthony Edwards, he has 5 or 6 baby mamas out there. Yeah,
Does he really?
He's not doing great in the responsibility department outside of the basketball court. Yes.
I mean, when you're making that much money, are we surprised?
He also believes he's the greatest at everything. So it might just be like a kind of like a borderline Elon thing where he's like, I got to put more of my DNA out onto the earth for the betterment of humanity.
Remember at the beginning of the Olympics when they said, how are you going to fit in with the other players on this team? And he said, they got to fit in with me.
and then they all proceeded to make fun of him because every interview was revolving around Anthony Edwards. Could you be an Olympian at this sport? And he answered 100% of the time, yes, I could.
Yeah, I mean, that confidence got him there. So I don't know. That's and by the way, isn't he having drama with his latest baby mama where he's just trying to give her a lump sum? He doesn't want any involvement with the kid.
He never wants to talk to the kid.
Yeah, never wants to talk to the kid. So he's trying to do a lump sum, which I don't think I've ever heard of before. Is that allowed?
Probably not. But I mean, he's saying is do the math on what yearly child support is, times it by 18, and I will write you that check right now.
It's allowed if the mother agrees.
I guess I just had never heard of that before. I guess Elon tried to do it a couple of times.
I'll admit I'm a huge hypocrite because most other players doing that kind of stuff, I would be on their ass about it.
Yeah.
But I'm ignoring it for Anthony Edwards because he's fantastic and fun and great on the basketball court. And he's not actually like, I don't think he's being like mean to these people. He doesn't have no domestic violence or anything like that. It's just you're kind of an irresponsible kid. So he's walking around the streets of LA and he's making jokes about Maurice Chestnut. He goes, it's not that movie. Maurice Chestnut dies at the end of this movie. He's making all these kind of, jokes about the Lakers. And at some point, somebody goes, is that your favorite movie, Ant? And he just goes, no. My favorite movie is Matilda. I already loved Anthony Edwards. That's why I put money on him winning an MVP within 5 years. There's nothing that can move me from being obsessed with this guy, save for an actual criminal count. If you don't know Matilda, it is one of the most beautiful movies of the early 1990s. Danny DeVito, I'm aware of that. Wilson, you didn't need to tell me. Danny DeVito, hilarious. And the child actor who was the star of Matilda hasn't really been acting in the last 20 years of her life. She was really just a child actor, and she just is on Twitter and is a hilarious follow because she makes fun of the dumbest people in the world in a hilarious way on X. But Matilda is a fantastic movie with a beautiful message, and the fact that Anthony Edwards, who is 10 years younger than me, and I was just barely at the age group that Matilda was made for. Like my sister, who's 5 years older than me, was like right in the pocket for Matilda. And so and the only reason I watched it as many times as I did as a kid is because my sister would always put it on. So I have no idea how Anthony Edwards loves Matilda, but it makes me love him so much more. And if you would have given me 1,000 movies, wouldn't have gotten there in time. I would never have guessed that some 24-year-old from Georgia who has been obsessed with basketball and or football for his entire life is locked into some movie from like 1993. It's unbelievable.
Amazing. So last night, Anthony Edwards did well. He didn't really lead Minnesota to victory, but the Timberwolves eliminated the Lakers this season. Brooke, in 41 minutes a game, Anthony Edwards finished 7th in the league in scoring average at 26.8. LeBron James was 9th at 40 years old at 25.4. So he's top 10 in the league in scoring, but he is 40 and he's had injuries now in each of the last 5 or 6 years. And he kind of sounded after the game, and we both agreed with this, that he's always made the commitment. Yeah, I'm going to keep playing. He sounded to me like a guy that is ready to pull the plug on his career.
Well, a big part of what he wanted to accomplish during his career, and he was one thing about LeBron, he's very transparent, right? Mm-hmm. Is that he said he wanted to play with his son, Bronny. And he was able to accomplish that. So maybe that was a big thing that he wanted to check off before retiring. I can't tell, though. I feel like LeBron also is the type of person, though, where he wants to go out on top, almost like a Tom Brady type.
But I don't know how the Lakers do that.
I know. I don't either. But it's interesting, too. I don't know if you guys saw this stat, but LeBron James is 2-12 in his last 14 playoff games, 0-4 versus the Nuggets in 2023. Then in 2024, 1-4 against the Nuggets. And then, of course, in this year, 1-4 against the Timberwolves. I don't know. Do you think that he really will retire? I mean, he still is able to play, and he is LeBron James. I just wonder. The tone was a little bit different from him, though. Last night.
Here's what I'm thinking. He's got to know. And by the way, he has a player option to return next year for $52.6 million. He's already a billionaire, though. $52.6 million is an awful lot of money, but he doesn't need that. He certainly wouldn't hate having it. But if he is rational and honest with himself and reads the room, regardless of what the Lakers do this offseason, if it's he and Luka next season, and you really can't, under the current rules, you can't go get a third superstar, are they going to win a championship next year? I don't think they are.
I don't think so.
He might have the ego to believe that he can lead them to a championship, but I think if he's honest and in his heart of hearts, if it's all about winning for him, and that's he would come back to try to win a championship, I think that he should forego that opportunity. And I'm not going to tell him to retire, but if it's because if he came to me and said, Randy, I might come back, but the only reason I'm going to come back is to win. Otherwise, if I didn't have a chance to win, I wouldn't come back. I would say, LeBron, you don't have a chance to win, so don't come back.
I don't know. I don't know if I could see him just hanging up just yet.
So he would be 41 at the end of next year. And maybe he does think that he can win a real championship with the Lakers. See, that's the other thing, is that their championship, it's a bubble championship. So he really hasn't won a real championship with the Lakers.
It's kind of the same thing with the Dodgers, right? Where everybody would always just kind of put that little mark of, well, you did it during this time when it wasn't a normal season by any stretch of the matter.
And this is another thing that none of us know. Only LeBron knows. Can he handle not being the man? Because we know who the man is with the Lakers now, and that's changed. It was him for the entire first 6.5 years he was there, and now they get Luka, and Luka's the man, and he's going to be the man. He's 26.
And to that point, this comments from people like you Mama, and texts I got yesterday from my more casual NBA friends. Luka and Giannis need to happen. I got a text yesterday.
Lakers don't have what it takes to get him.
A couple of friends saying, I can't wait till the Giannis ends up in LA. This ESPN, what you're doing is irresponsible, because when you say things like that, you tell casuals that they should start thinking about it. To Randy's point, and to just the betterment of the sport, it shouldn't happen. It would be bad if Giannis goes to LA. You don't want that, because Giannis is able to create content and a orbit around him in Milwaukee.
And that's huge.
When you have players like that, moving them out of your small markets just to beef up a market that doesn't need beefing is ridiculous. It was one thing when every single year in the NBA, it was, how do we get a superstar onto the New York Knicks? I understood it, because the Knicks were bad and they couldn't keep fandom the way even a mediocre Lakers team was at the time. But now they're fine. They have LeBron, they have Luka, they have the Bronny factor afterwards. They have Jordan Goodwin. I don't know why people are trying to force him onto the Lakers. I'm not saying leave him on the Bucks, but create a super team somewhere else. Come on now.
And I don't know that they have the weaponry to go out and trade for a guy like Giannis. Houston has picks and the cap room. The Nets have picks and cap room to trade. I don't know if the Lakers have enough to trade to get a guy like Giannis. They already stole Luka, but I don't know. I don't think that they have enough to get him.
Well, to that point, the Lakers back in the day, they stole Pau Gasol from Memphis, and then they almost pulled off Chris Paul not long after that. But the NBA nixed it. So, but now that was without the second apron to make it really cost deficient for teams to do those kind of things. But if any team could pull it off, if any team the NBA would let kind of skirt things, in my opinion, it's always going to be the Lakers.
So, and if you're Milwaukee, here's what the Lakers currently have the ability to do. They can trade their 2031 first rounder. We're into the 2025. They can trade their 2031 first rounder, and they can swap in 26, 28, 30, and 32. But if you're Milwaukee, none of those years are you going to want to swap with Luka being 26 and Giannis being 30, right?
Which means you're passing on the swap, which means those become picks that might be good for you in 2034.
Yeah.
We're talking about a decade from now.
Right.
Yeah.
So if you're Milwaukee, I don't know that's the way you want to start rebuilding if you're going to move a guy like Giannis when you can get more immediate picks from a team like Houston or Brooklyn.
I think it'll be really interesting. I think that LeBron still has plenty left in the tank, and he shows time. And I mean, clearly there is moments where Father Time hits him, but at the same time, he always shows that he can come back from a lot of that stuff, and he still has plenty left in the tank. But does he want to move on? We've also seen, I feel like one of the big reasons why he also want to go to LA, other than just being around the Lakers, is movie career, that different kind of stuff. Is he ready to start that next chapter in his career?
Yeah. That is a distinctive possibility. I think that I could see that happening.
Yeah. I watched a movie the other day with Marshawn. Marshawn Lynch is acting in a lot more movies now. He was in an action movie recently that I watched, and it was really good.
I liked him when he did a guest star on Brooklyn Nine-Nine, just after his career was over.
Yeah. What if he went to Denver?
Go ahead and read it.
Interesting.
What if he went to Denver? You're telling me you think that a Kroenke team that's already in the playoffs and has a borderline championship roster is going to pay more money to guarantee a win?
Okay, that's a good point.
You
don't get into this business for trophies.
Their big move after winning a championship was signing Russell Westbrook.
Yeah. And they need to find a coach too that people can agree with, right?
Well, one that just agrees with the GM.
Yeah. Hey, Sports Hub STL post-game shows, as we know, brought to you in part by Hot Shots. And Hot Shots invites you to come out to their St. Charles location on Sunday, June 1st to celebrate the 35th anniversary of Hot Shots. The fun starts at noon with a parking lot party featuring the Budweiser Clydesdales. Prizes will be given away all day. There's a darts tournament at noon, a bags or cornhole tournament at 2, plus a chance to win Hot Shots tacos for a year if you can win the taco eating contest. Congratulations to Hot Shots from us on 35 years. Hot Shots, St. Louis home for all the games all the time since 1990. Find yours at hotshotsnet.com, hotshotsnet.com. Don't forget, on June 1st, you'll be able to hang out with Rizzuto and Ray from the Rizzuto Show. You'll be able to have celeb bartenders from St. Louis City SC. It's just going to be a pretty awesome day.
It will be. Love Hurts is the movie, by the way. Love Hurts is the one with Marshawn Lynch in it. And it's really good. And don't look at sometimes I look at Rotten Tomatoes to judge if I'm actually going to watch a movie or not. Rotten Tomatoes has actually changed. There's been some movies on there that are rated low that I've actually enjoyed. It's a good action movie. Yes, I'll come up with my own Brooke ranking of this. And she gives it a 8 out of 10. It was funny. It was entertaining. If you like action movies that are funny, then that's a good movie to watch.
All right, good.
And Marshawn Lynch does a great job in it.
You got the Cardinals coming up in 15 minutes. You can watch that. We'll be talking about that tomorrow here on the Randy Karraker Show. We'll also preview the Cardinals game as they take on, or preview the Cardinals. We're going to preview the Blues. Cards and Mets tomorrow, but Blues taking on the Jets tomorrow in Game 6 of that series. So we got a lot coming your way. Plus, Battlehawks tomorrow night here in town too. So we want you to be involved with that. Don't forget, Cards Up 365 after the Cardinals and Reds today. You'll have a chance to react to Matthew Liberatore's victory, I hope. We hope.
Yes.
Sports Hub STL presented by DraftKings. The crown is yours. Brooke, did you have fun today?
I did. Yes.
Good. Matthew, did you have fun today?
I did have fun today. We talked some basketball.
Glad you smiled.
Blast.
Yeah, good.
We talked basketball in like 2 different ways. I'm giddy as hell.
He's a happy camper. We hope you're happy too, and to have a fabulous Friday Eve until tomorrow morning at 10:02. So long, everybody.